Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing the secrets, my secrets of the creative process, the masculine and feminine dynamics of creation. You might be thinking, why does this apply to me? I'm not a videographer, I'm not an artist, I'm not a photographer. But I promise you, this is a universal language that can help you create anything in your life and bring your passion into the world. So these secrets that I'm about to share with you have helped me make thousands of dollars over the past year working with brands, personal brands, companies. And it also doesn't matter if you want to use these to make money or you just want to create artwork authentically for yourself. So what do I mean about the masculine and feminine dance of creation? So these are two stages in the creative process of whatever it is you're creating: artwork, clay pottery, videos, photography, whatever it looks like. There's two stages, and one is the conceptual phase and two is the action taking phase. And I'm going to put some notes on the screen to kind of help you visualize that a bit better. So let's start with the feminine side of creating, the conceptual phase. This is the first step. I like to think of this like a fire. It's the very first match that starts the kindling. It needs space to breathe, it's very fragile, and it needs to be nurtured. And that looks different for everyone. For me, that looks like a bit of meditation, sauna, and restricting time on my phone as well. I find if I don't go on my phone for the first hour of the morning, my day is a lot clearer. I have better ideas that come to me, and I'm all around just a more present human being. And I find that in this stage of conceptualization, I need to be as present as possible so I don't miss anything that comes to me. Because if I'm not present, ideas are going to slip through the cracks and I'm not going to do the best job that I can on the project. So the reason that I call this feminine is because I think it requires a little bit more care. I think it requires a little bit more presence, and I think it requires a little bit more imagination. So for example, even for this video and the script and the words that I'm speaking to you now, about an hour ago, I went down to the beach with a notebook and just wrote everything in my head. I reflected on what I wanted to say in the sun. I didn't have my phone, I didn't have my laptop. I just thought about what I wanted to say. And it's a time and space of reflection and presence. I just sit there and think. There's no distractions, there's nothing. And it's where the best thoughts come to me personally. So one way to get new knowledge from the ether, or airdrops I call them, is like, for example, when you're in a sauna or you're walking and a good thought comes to you and you're like, oh, that's a good thought. One way to do that is to change your environment. So go for a walk somewhere you haven't been before, or go explore a new neighborhood, or spend some time in nature. I find this to be one of the most inspiring things you can do to get new ideas. So a good quote that's kind of helped me with this is that never a bad thought occurred outside. And if you go and spend more time outside, chase a waterfall, go to the skate park or a local park, I think you'll find you'll be inspired and you'll get thoughts that you didn't know you could have, because you're receiving new stimuli from new environments. It's going to influence you in different ways. Just like if you pick up a new book and you read it, it's going to influence you in a way that you could never have predicted until you read it. So another thing that can help you manufacture creativity is having a look at what kind of inputs you're putting in your body. And I'm not just talking about food and water. I eat quite clean food and clean water, and I'll explain that in another video. But I'm also talking about the information diet that you're receiving. Are you spending a lot of time on your phone? Are you kind of getting lost in brain rot and like 10-second videos? If you are, and I'm guilty of that too. No one's perfect, but if you want to be creative and you want to have a bit more substance to your thoughts, maybe try reading something a bit more longer form, like a book or listening to a podcast on something you're interested in. I think this will do wonders for you. And also what I mean by airdropped knowledge is I mean like when you're someplace, somewhere in the world, and you have that aha moment. It's like, aha, something comes to you in your head randomly out of nowhere, and it provides you with direction and you know where to go next. That's what I mean by airdropped. You've been airdropped a thought from the ether. So to summarize the feminine process of creation, this is the side of creation where you're more reflective, you're more meditative, you're waiting and allowing thoughts to come to you. And once they come to you, you can set out a plan on how to act on them. and that goes into the masculine side of creation now. So now we're gonna move into the masculine side of creating. And one thing that's really helped me is writing things down and actually physically bringing it into the world. And then from there, kind of creating step-by-step habits and putting things into your routine to help you achieve that. Because without doing that, it's just a thought in your head. How do you expect to keep it there forever? It's not. You're gonna think about other things, you're gonna get distracted, life gets in the way. But if you actually put it into your routine and intentionally act on it every single day, it's gonna happen inevitably. So now we're gonna move into the masculine side of creation. And this is the side of creation which takes consistency, it takes action. This is the actual act of bringing what you've thought about into the world. And it requires consistent action daily to do this, especially for bigger tasks. So for example, in a recent project of mine, which took at least 2 months, I had to put this into my routine every single day. Two hours of editing here, or 1 hour editing every single day to get it done. And one thing that's really helped me with that is writing things down and putting them into my routine. So I like to plan my day the night before. So before I go to bed, I'll write in my journal what I need to get done that day. And by intentionally putting it in there and then acting on it, it holds me accountable, and I've put it out there into the world. It's not just a thought. It's not just something I'm gonna forget because life gets in the way. It's like, no, if I don't achieve that, I'm gonna know about it because I'm gonna see it in my journal. And personally, that's helped me hold myself accountable and just get so much more done. I also believe that this masculine aspect of bringing something into the world through consistent action day to day, I believe it's as hard as you wanna make it as well. Like, make sure to be aware of how you view your projects and what you need to do kind of with that. So what I mean by that is, if you're viewing something that you need to do as work, or you're viewing it as, oh, I have to get this done, and you're procrastinating it, it's gonna be harder. But be aware and try and notice in the moment when you have that negative perception about it, and notice that and try and flip it to a positive in a way and think, oh wow, if I was to complete just 2 hours of that today, like imagine the feeling that would give me. Like imagine you'll get that little dopamine hit, you'll feel a little bit more calm because you're not stressing about doing more work. So by being a little bit more aware of how you view your projects is really gonna help you, because a lot of the time it's these unconscious thoughts about what we need to do that actually stop us from completing them. We're all human and we all have moments in life about feeling inadequate, feeling inferior to other people, because it's so easy to get lost in comparison. However, if you can notice that in the moment and notice how silly it is, it's gonna break you free from those chains. Another thing I wanna talk about is the perfectionist mentality and how it can kill your consistency. There is a balance here, because as an artist, you wanna put out your best work. However, people can get lost, and I'm guilty of this too. You can get lost in the creative process of wanting to put out your best work because nothing will ever be good enough. It's a bit of a trap in a way. However, it's the one thing that stops your consistency, whether you're putting out pieces of content or you're creating artwork, whatever that might look like. If you're consistent, you're gonna get better naturally, inevitably, because you're gonna put stuff out, you're gonna get feedback, you're gonna see what you've done wrong, and you're gonna improve on it over and over and over again. Whereas the person that has the perfectionist mentality, puts out 4 pieces of content a year, and you're never gonna improve like that because you're not up to speed with the person that's putting out 50. So how do we fix the perfectionist mentality? I don't think there is one exactly. However, I think there are some tools you can use to reframe that decision to help you be more productive. And one way that I've done that is I like to view everything that I've created, whether it be for me or my clients, as a snapshot in time of where I'm at creatively. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's a reflection of my authenticity in that moment. And I think that's super beautiful. It's almost like a tattoo, that you got 5, 10 years ago, whatever it is, that might not resonate with you so much now, but it reflects a time period where you were you and you got that, and it might have meant something special to you at that moment in time. And I think that's beautiful in its own way. So to summarize, the masculine component of the creative process It's about action. It's about being consistent to bring things into the world, your creative projects, putting it into your routine and actually getting it done. And it's also about being self-aware of your self-limiting beliefs, like the perfectionist mentality, or the way that you view these projects. Because like I said, a lot of the time, these projects can fail before they even start. And the reason I think that is because creating anything and being vulnerable and putting yourself out there to the world, which is what a lot of creators have to do in whatever realm that looks like. It's a spiritual process of putting yourself out there and willing to be vulnerable and willing to be judged by other people. And I think that's a really big stepping stone for a lot of people who want to put gifts out there to the world, their innate gifts of creating, whatever that looks like. For me, it's video. For other people, it's painting. For other people, it's dancing. The fear of being judged is so high that it actually stops a lot of people. But with some of these little reframements, I think that you can get around it and make it a much more enjoyable experience. So I guess some of this video has just been me open dialogue talking about the creative process. And I hope this inspires you in your own way. But I guess to finish off the video, I want to touch on the masculine and feminine kind of harmony, I guess, of creating. It's good to be aware of what you're good at and what you enjoy doing, because too much of one will kill the other. If you're too conceptual focused on the feminine side and you're super imaginative, super present, thinking about what you need to do all the time, but not acting on it, you're never going to get anything materialize into the world. And conversely, on the other end, if you're just doing stuff but you're not thinking about it, you're going to have no direction and you'll be heading nowhere. So it's good to be aware of the balance between these and find out what you're good at. And I'm confident if you think about these and use them to your advantage, it's going to help you be more creative and make more money creatively. Amazing.